see some of you already have your Yachad Siddur, and that looks really great. Good luck, Shira, there with the Siddur. And we are about to use that Yachad Siddur to begin our learning this evening. Learning with us this evening is going to be a very good friend of ours from Yachad and a very prominent, very, very special speaker, the director of Neely, which is a women's learning program in Chicago, and the very, very famous Emma Katz. Emma, are you here?
I'm here. Hi, everyone.
Okay, well, without further ado, Emma.
Okay, hi, everyone. It is so good to see so many familiar faces. If you wrote in the chat and I didn't answer you yet, yes, I remember all of you from Camp Morashah, or maybe some of you from Mosheva here, some of you from Chicago Yachad, some of you from New York Yachad. So good to see everybody here tonight. Thank you so much for joining to learn tonight. This week, we are going to be talking about Birchas haShachar. These are the long list of brachot right at the beginning of davening that many of you probably say every day. That we start out with Matolu and Adon Olam and Yigdal, and then we jump into a whole lot of brachot. So I want to ask you a question. And to answer this question, I want you to either put a thumbs up or a thumbs down. I want to see a thumbs up if you are a morning person, and a thumbs down if you are not a morning person. Let's see everyone's thumbs. Okay, so I'm seeing some thumbs up, some thumbs down, and some like in the middle, like maybe depends on the day. I have to say, I am a morning person. But there's a Gemara that I saw that when I read it, I said, even as a morning person, I don't think I could handle this. The Gemara in Brachot says that when should we say each of the brachot of Birchas haShachar? When should we say Baruch Atah Hashem Elokeinu melech haolam pokeach ivrim? When should we say Hanotin l'sachvi vina lahachvim miyom uvin laila? Shelo asani goy, shelo asani aved. When should we say all of the brachot of Birchas haShachar, the long list of brachot that we say in the morning? When should we say them? We should say them as we are doing the action that corresponds to what they're talking about. So it says there is a bracha of pokeach ivrim, to open up your eyes. You should say that bracha the second that you open up your eyes in the morning. And when we talk about hanotin l'sachvi vina lahachvin b'yom u'bein laila, that Hashem gives us the ability to understand when it is between day and night, we should say that as we notice, or as we first hear in the morning. And it goes on and on, that when we get dressed, we should say the bracha that corresponds to getting dressed. And when we put on our shoes, we should say the bracha that corresponds to that. And even as a morning person, I would have to say that is pretty tough. The second I open my eyes in the morning, it's hard enough to remember to say Modani, or it's hard enough to reach over to find my glasses. I'm supposed to remember which bracha I'm supposed to say? That seems kind of crazy. Why does the Gemara tell us this? Why would the Gemara want us to say each of these brachot as we are doing the action in the morning? Now, as somebody wrote in the chat, they said, aren't you supposed to say the brachot in order? Today, it has been made easier for us, and today we do say them once we begin to daven. We just say them straight through in a list. But why would the Gemara bring up this idea to say them as we're doing each action? And Rav Shlomo Valbi, who is the author of Ali Shor, who is a relatively modern gadol, as in he lived pretty recently, Rav Valbi teaches a very interesting idea. Rav Valbi says that each of these brachot is meant to make us more in tune with the small brachot that Hashem has given us in our lives. So when we open up our eyes, that seems like something pretty small, right? Every morning we open up our eyes. But Rav Valbi says we shouldn't take that for granted. We should say, wow, Hashem just opened my eyes. And so on and so forth. When we say Shelo asani aved, Shelo asani aved means thank you, Hashem, for making me free. When we realize that we have woken up in our home or somewhere where we are free, let's say when we wake up in camp, or we wake up and we are able to go to work and we recognize that we are a free person, we're thanking Hashem for each of those small things that we could totally look right over. And we're saying to Hashem in the moment when we're so overwhelmed by how amazing they are, we're saying to Hashem, thank you so much. Thank you for giving that to me today. So that's the first answer that we're going to explore a little bit tonight. The Ravolbi says that each of the brachot is meant to make us more in tune to the small blessings in our life. However, I have a question. Now, I'm sure each of us can think of something that we don't have. We can think of something that we lack, whether it's an ability, whether it's a skill, whether it is, I don't know. So we all have things that we lack. For anyone who said that they're a morning person, they may lack the ability to work so well at night. And for someone who said they're a morning person, who said they're a night person, they may just not be able to get up in the morning. But everyone has something that they lack. So the question is asked, what happens if you can't see? Or what happens if you're not free? What happens if you don't have clothes? What happens if you are lacking something that the brachot are talking about? And this question is asked, and many of the different rabbanim try to understand. They use the example of someone who is blind. Can someone who is blind say the bracha of pokeach ivrim, that we thank Hashem for opening our eyes? And the Mishnah Berurah, who is the Chavetz Chaim, he says, yes, even someone who doesn't have the ability to see can say pokeach ivrim. Even someone who is a slave can say shelo asani aved, that you didn't make me a slave. And someone who can't hear can make the bracha on hearing, and someone who doesn't have clothing can say the bracha on clothing. Why is that? How can we understand that? If we're understanding like Ravolbi, and Ravolbi said that we are meant to recognize the small brachot in our lives, then if we don't have that bracha, why are we thanking Hashem? Does anyone have an answer for me? Lane, I see you raising your hand. I'm going to unmute you.
Because when you say that you're telling God that He's really doing good, that means like, you know, you're doing tzedakah, you do it at camp, you do it wherever, even in your room. That still means that you're being nice to them. That's what you're going through right now.
Lane, your audio is a little fuzzy. Can you write your answer in the chat?
Okay.
Okay. Right here, I don't know your name, but I just asked you to unmute.
My name is Adir.
Hi, Adir. What's your answer? Why can someone blind say thank you, Hashem, for making me able to see?
God give us the eyes to see. May give us the eyes to see.
Okay, so Adir is saying because Hashem created eyes, therefore we can say thank you. Hashem gave us our eyes. We can still say thank you even if we can't see. Does anyone else have another answer? Gabby.
It's for like good luck. For good luck. Nice for good luck.
Okay, you're saying
happy.
Okay, you're saying you can your eyes can be for other things, like they can show that you're happy.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. So even if you can't see, we're saying thank you, Hashem, for our eyes that are able to do other things. Awesome. So I want to go back to the point that Adir mentioned, and I want to say that Adir is not the first one who said it. Rosh Shneur Zalman of Liadi, who is the original rabbi of Chabad, way back, he said, why can someone who is blind make the bracha of pokeach ivrim? And his answer is, because we are thanking Hashem for making the ability to see in the world. That right now, we may be looking at what we don't have. We might say we're lacking this one ability. We're not really able to thank Hashem for that one thing. But we thank Hashem that He created the ability to see in the entire world. And then we move on and we focus on all the other things. So just because we cannot do something on our own doesn't mean we're not grateful that Hashem created it in the world. And Rosh Shneur Zalman of Liadi says, And then you move on and you look at the things that you do have. You thank Hashem for creating everything in the world, and then you focus on yourself. So what message can we take from this for the rest of the bracha? I think we can apply this lesson to each bracha and to everything in our lives. That we look at our lives and sometimes we see the things that we don't have. We're not the best athlete, or we don't have the coolest clothes, or we can't see so clearly. And we say, well, how could I thank Hashem for that? I don't really have that. And I think the lesson of Birchas haShachar is not only to focus on the small things in our lives and recognize that those two are so worthy of thanking Hashem, but also looking at maybe what we're lacking and saying, I'm glad that the ability to do this is in the world, that other people can do these things really well, and now I'm going to move on and I'm going to focus on what I do have and what I'm really, really good at. And we're going to thank Hashem for those things. So whether it's the bracha of where girls and boys say different brachot, and girls say Sha'asani kirsono, and boys say Shelo asani isha. That boys say, if you translate it literally, it means that you did not create me a woman, but we understand that to mean that Hashem gave different mitzvot to men and to women. And we look at that and we say, we may be able to focus on the mitzvot that we can't do, either because we're male or because we're female, or we can choose to look at all of the other mitzvot that are in front of us and say, thank you, Hashem, for creating us just the way that you saw was perfect. Whether that's being the best athlete or the best dressed or male or female. You created me exactly the way I'm supposed to be, and therefore, first thing in the morning, I'm going to say thank you. So I hope we can all take these messages when we say those long lists of brachot in the morning. First, we can be thankful that we don't need to say them the second we open our eyes. We can wait till we're a little more focused. We can focus on thanking Hashem for the little things in our lives, and we can recognize that even if we're lacking in one area, we thank Hashem for everything else, and we thank Hashem even for that. Thank you so much tonight for joining me to learn, everyone. It was such a pleasure to learn with you, such a pleasure to see everyone.
Thank you so much, Emma. Everybody can give a big shout out to Emma in the chat if they want. Thank you, Emma, so much for joining us.